right. So tonight I am actually going to read a clip from my very first book written, and it is the first book to the mystery or the fantasy romance series, Lyric and Michael. I'm so excited because I had originally given the do not sell or not for resale books to the store down the street for them to be able to display the books for the upcoming book signing. So let's get started. Not realizing Sasha had stepped away, she relaxed with her back to the door. She was focused on her monitor when she felt the temperature of her office drop. Turning, she found Jesse standing leering down at her. However, she saw Jesse acknowledge her recognition. With the excitement of the verbal exchange and Michael appearing out of nowhere, the fire starting, and then the fire disappearing. The whole interaction was surreal. She could not wrap her mind around it as she regarded her hands, wondering if she had been the one who distinguished the flames. Now he was really going to go off the deep end. She had to get away to clear her head. What just happened surprised her, and she had no idea how or why it happened. Michael walked back towards her, noticing she was looking rather strange. "Are you all right? I am so sorry I didn't get here sooner. What happened? Are you hurt? Did she do anything?" Looking up from her hands to his face, she spoke calmly with a hint of coldness. "Michael, I'm fine. All she did was threaten me to get me to leave and never return, or else." Looking back at her hands, she turned them over, first looking at the palms, then looking back at her hands. As though she had never seen them before. They seemed almost foreign to her. Michael closed the door and pulled the blinds closed on the inside window, turning back to face her. He stopped towards her. She looked up towards him, putting her hand up and saying, "No, I can't handle this right now. I need to get out of here." Unable to argue with her, he agreed. "All right, sweetheart, we can leave now." Shaking her head and barely able to speak, she stuttered, "No, no, no. I need to be away from you and all of this." Michael grabbed her around the waist, growling harshly. Then he barked, "No, Lyric, I will not let you leave." She put her arms around his neck and with unshed tears let out a slight sob. She said, "I'm not leaving you. I just need to get out of here. Please let me leave with Sarah and Sasha. We will go to your house and stay there, but I need some time. Jesse is gone, at least for now, so I should be fine with them until you get home tonight." Kissing her on the forehead, he relented. "All right, take Sarah and Sasha and go home to the house, not your apartment. I mean it, Lyric. The house is your home too." Staring blankly at him, unable to argue, she conceded and said, "Okay, I'll go home to the house and not my apartment, I promise." Opening the door, Michael called out, "Sasha, call Sarah, please. You and she are excused from work today. Please go to the house with Lyric." Sasha responded, "Yes, sir." Lifting the phone, she called Sarah. When Sarah answered, she said, "Sarah, Michael has told us to go with Lyric to the estate." Pausing and listening for a moment, she responded, "Lyric and I will meet you there." Hanging up the phone, she grabbed her purse, hooked arms with Lyric, and headed for the elevator. Lyric looked over her shoulder back at Michael and tried to give him a reassuring smile, knowing it did not reach her eyes. He would take it for what it was. She was unable to shake the strange feeling coming over her. Something was coming, and it was big. He watched her as she walked away. She called out, "I will see you at home later. I'll bring dinner. Relax and make yourself at home, and I mean it. I love you. As the elevator doors closed, without a thought, she replied, love you too. Okay. All right. I forgot to start the clock, so I'm ending right there because that was the end of that section. So I'm going to open up the floor. What did you think? Kathy? Got to unmute yourself.
Put me on the spot, why don't you?
Of
I
course.
don't know what to say.
All right, well, we can come back to you. Sarah?
Okay, I like that scene because Lyric is able to I guess like show us her human side where she's like being, well, she's feeling all these emotions and she doesn't know what to do with them. And then her mate wants to protect her and she just kind of needs to process. And so I like this scene because she's like letting him know I need to process. And so I like how you wrote this scene because she's able to establish herself with strength, but at the same time, you can tell she's not like pulling away from him like in some romance stories where they, don't know their strength until they're like not around the hero or what have you. And so I like that she's able to establish it in that scene with him and like maintain, some independence, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does to me, definitely. Thank you.
She's able to start accepting help. She lets him be a part of her world and lets him start helping to protect her, even though she knows she can protect herself. So it's a good bonding scene for the two of them, just to add on what Sarah just said.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
Well,
it's also a good scene that shows the that the women are also getting time to bond with her and show her that they're there to help her and be there for her.
mhm.
Yeah, to add to what Chloe said, I like how it shows a different aspect in the next scene, just because I'm familiar with it, but we're able to see that other side of her, like when she's not around him.
Mhm. Alice, what are your thoughts?
I had exactly the opposite reaction of everybody else. I was incredibly annoyed by how controlling Michael is.
Don't worry, I was annoyed too.
Right. But she stood her ground, right?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
All right. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Are you going to write any more books in this series?
Yes, I am actually in the process of writing the fourth book, Sasha and Blaine.
Hey.
And I actually finished a subchapter this weekend. So I was very excited.
Great news.
Coming out.
My goal is for winter solstice, December 21st.
Cool.
Do you remember your motivation for how you got the story idea to start Lyric and Michael? I know it's been a while. This is your first book, but do you remember how you got started on it?
Actually, I do. I was reading some other fantasy romance books, and I kept finding mistakes that I thought, how could a publisher miss this? Because I was completely unaware of self-publishing at that time. And so I'm reading this book and I'm going, I could do this. Everybody's always told me I'm a great storyteller. I'm going to try this. So I sat down and wrote one chapter, brought it, took it into work, passed it around to a couple coworkers. And the next thing I know, I'm being asked for more chapters.
Guilty.
I wasn't calling anybody out, I promise. So, anything else?
Do you remember how you got the idea for the actual story, how it came to you to start with the werewolves and like Lyric and Michael specifically?
Well, with Lyric and Michael, my biggest thing is I love wolves, period. I have pictures of wolves pretty much everywhere in my house. And my dog looks like a wolf. So the werewolf thing was definitely something I wanted to go towards. As far as Lyric was concerned, I wanted to tie in the fact that just like in Twilight, you know, she wasn't a vampire, she wasn't a werewolf, but yet she kind of united them. And so I wanted Lyric to be a similar idea. And as I sat down and started writing, I did not have a clear-cut plan of what the story was going to turn out to be. All I could do was allow the scenes to show me where the story was going. So it was just a matter of, as I was writing, which basically was every spare minute I could find, and just let it flow as it came to me.
Okay.
Next. Come on, I know
How do
you've
you
got
get
some
your-
hard ones for me.
How do you get your ideas for your books, like the series?
Funny you should ask that question. With the series, I am the type of reader where when I read a story, I want to know what happens to every single character I'm introduced to. And so as I was writing this and I was creating the characters were coming into play, I realized that this was not going to be a one-time thing and a one book and it's done, because there were too many characters that have a story that began here but still needed to be told. And so I'm one of those that I love cliffhangers, not going to lie about that. I love to leave cliffhangers.
We know.
But I also don't want people to wonder, well, what happened to that character? Where'd they go? Did they just fall off the face of the earth? Because to me, if you introduce a character, especially the way I introduced most of the characters in the first book, there's too much left unknown for people to be content with just this being one book. So even though when I started out, I was just going to write one book just to prove I could do it. And it evolved from there, which I'm actually very happy about and very excited about.
Do you have
Anybody?
do you have an overall favorite character?
Oh my goodness. Well, originally it was Christine. Now it's morphed into Sasha, which is the current book being written.
Oh, that's fun.
I think you'll figure out why the more you edit.
Gotcha. I'll be on the lookout for that. I'm intrigued now.
Yes, yes, she has kind of turned into my favorite character thus far. Now, as far as covers, Christine and Daniel's cover is my favorite.
It's very pretty. I don't know if this would be a same or similar question, but do you have a character that you identify with more than any other?
I think I would have to say in most ways it would be Lyric, because of the having to overcome the negativity from childhood, that kind of baggage, and, pushing forward and saying, you know what, I know I'm more than what they think I was, and I'm going to prove it. And if it means going somewhere where nobody knows who I am or who I'm not, then that's what I have to do. So I would say, yeah, she's probably the one I relate to the most. And I'll go ahead and admit it, even though nobody's asked it yet. Pretty much every single one of the female characters has a trait of mine, in one form or another.
Cool.
Any other questions?
How do you come up with your characters?
Oh. Now, as far as the characters themselves or their names?
Oh,
Names I use, generally I pick ones that I like. They are generally names that I like. And the names that irritate me for whatever reason tend to be the antagonists in the story. I think I use that correctly. Or villain, however you want to phrase it. And generally those characters are, again, it comes to me with the scenes, because I have actually figured out this week, from talking to a few different people, that I am a visual writer. I have to see the scene in order to write it, to write the story. So, the characters kind of progress as they pop in during the different scenes. Did I answer that question?
yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on my reading?
I thought the reading was fun and you did a very good job. And it's been so long since I've read this one that I don't need to be rereading it because I'm supposed to be editing, but I feel like I'm going to want to reread it soon because now it piqued my interest all over again. So,
I have to admit, that's why I'm so excited these came in, because I can now sit down and start reading, because I actually caught myself the other day. I couldn't remember a previous character's name that is coming up in the new book. And so I had to go back to Becca and Wesley to find that character's name.
oh, fun.
And so as I'm looking through to try and find this character's name, I'm reading scenes and I'm going, I need to read this book again. I need to read this book, period. So I'm actually really, really excited to be able to sit down, and I probably will actually sit down and start reading this one tonight.
That's awesome. I need to go back and read Becca and Wesley in preparation for Sasha and Blaine.
Not actually. And that's the great part about this series. Each book can stand alone. The only one that you have to read in the correct order is the first one, because that's the one that provides you with all of the characters that you're going to be reading about in the other stories. Outside of that, they can be read in any order. Even though I've written them in a specific order, but that's because that's how the stories came to me, in that order. But each book is about those individual characters. And in some of the stories, like Christine and Daniel, it starts where they meet in the first book. And I kind of, I changed the perspective of that particular scene where they've entered in the book of Lyric and Michael. So in their book, yes, I'm retelling a similar scene, but I'm telling it from their perspective and what they took from what happened in that scene.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Now, Sasha and Blaine has a huge backstory.
Indeed.
She has a little bit of an advantage being the editor.
Do you know how many books you intend to have in this series yet?
Currently, right now, I'm at 12.
Oh, Lordy.
Yes, ma'am. I currently have enough characters to write up to 12 books.
Okay.
However, I will admit, the book you're editing, there's more characters coming in. Just a heads up.
No, I was trying to imagine who else could be coming from what we know so far. Someone, there must be new people out there.
Well, there are, because of the backstory. And I believe in Becca and Wesley, I brought in one new character. And she is, I believe, although I'd give it away if I say anything, but I did bring in one new character. So that added to that made the 12th potential book.
So, an assistant?
No, she is actually not an assistant. She's another attorney
Oh, okay.
from a completely different law firm.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I knew it was a law firm, but I had the wrong occupation.
Yep. Agnes. I will give her name, Agnes.
Okay. You have any more story ideas in the works that you come up with?
Funny enough that you asked that. Yes, I've actually, I had somebody make a comment and I went, that'd be a perfect book title. Now, you guys know me. Book titles come to me after I've started writing. Now with the series, that hasn't been the case. The series is the titles are already predetermined.
Mhm.
But I have a new idea that just like I said, was just a phrase somebody said. And I went, I like that. So the title is The Dragon Lawyer. Now, I haven't quite decided if that's going to become another series. And I haven't decided if it's going to be more along the lines of a mystery or if I'm going to go more along the lines to fantasy romance again. But I've got that toying in my head, and that one is actually going to be Japan based.
Oh, that's cool. And I have
So-
to let it sit in your brain and dream on it and see where it takes you.
Exactly. I did write it down. So I do have it in the process of, okay, this is definitely something I'm going to come back to for sure.
Awesome.
Did you have any other questions, Alice? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
I'm thinking.
Chloe, you got anything?
I'm thinking.
Well, I kind of wanted to tell a little bit of a story. I'm sure you guys noticed because in the advertisement for tonight, I said, get your favorite drink and your comfy chair and be ready. Well, I kind of wanted to tell you the story about this cup. I have had this cup for a very long time. I don't know if grad night is something that has continued as a tradition, but when I graduated high school, we did grad night, and our grad night was at Walt Disney World. So I went with my boyfriend's school at the time. I didn't even go with my own school. I went with his school. And while we were there, I have always had this liking for wine glasses. So we went into the crystal shop and I saw this cup, and we took it up to purchase it. The girl behind the counter says, do you want it etched? Do you want your name personalized on it? And I went, heck yeah. So, and I'm going to go ahead and age myself. I graduated in 1989.
Me
So
too.
I have had this wine glass since 1989, and I have moved at least a dozen times with this glass in tow.
I am suitably impressed because I have managed to break wine glasses like the day I got them home from the store.
I have broken several as well, but somehow this one has made it all the way to today.
That is impressive.
I know that crystal shop you're talking about too. I have something from there.
I have this, and this is the only thing I own from that shop. I have not bought anything else from there since then. And I've been there, I think, 2 more times. But of course, with 7 kids, buying stuff's not on the list. So. But I guess that actually is another little segue is my kids actually assisted me with the covers that I created for the first 2 books.
That's cool. I did not know that.
I
Yep.
knew and I had just forgotten.
Yep. And then, of course, my middle son, being the joker and smart butt that he is, decided to name my writing Smutty Smut by my mom. And he actually created a folder on my computer with that name.
Kids.
Gotta love them.
Especially hers.
Oh, yes.
I have a folder on my phone that has all the kids' games on it, the games that they used to play.
Mhm.
And Matt named it Games for Dummies, and I've kept that on there. It still says Games for Dummies on my phone.
Okay.
It is so
Child.
funny, some of the names of the things that they can come up with. And
Mhm.
it's like, where does this come from? I don't understand. So, all right. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
You want to give us a little teaser on Sasha and Blaine?
Oh, a little teaser on Sasha and Blaine. Let me see. Well, there will be an introduction of dragons, a different realm, and elves,
Oh,
and pixies.
Ooh.
There will be some pixies.
ooh. Okay, now I'm excited. I wasn't excited before. Now I'm really excited.
Is this book going to be ready?
I'm sorry, Chloe, say that one more time.
I think that was when is the book going to be ready?
The goal is to have that book out by December 21st, winter solstice. I have tried to,
Winter solstice.
yes, I have tried to make sure with the fantasy romance that they are launched on either winter solstice or summer solstice because of the magical elements to them.
I like it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.